Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Watch This to Know How to Use Social Media Rightly. Gorgopal does. So this is something that I think a lot of people need to learn. I don't know what it's going to say, but whew, boy, ever since social media exploded, it's been kind of. I remember. Let me say this. I remember a long time ago, a lot of people were complaining social media will be used for like bad things. But I also said it can be used for good because I remember a long time ago someone got lost. They used social media and they used it to help find someone. And it's like there's an example. It's social media itself is not a good or bad thing. It's all dependent on the individual users. But there are a lot of young people who kind of live their lives on social media. And I do believe a lot of mental health stuff is from social media. And this is the reason why I do absolutely 100% agree with Advaita Vedanta, at the very least, that because it teaches you not to seek acceptance, not necessarily acceptance, but it teaches you not to depend on external things for validation or for happiness, really happiness. And I think a lot of people, younger people, are using social media to find happiness, looking at thumbs up down below if you like this video, and looking at the thumbs up count and all that, and seeing that as a I'm doing a good thing, and thumbs down as saying like I'm doing a bad thing, and maybe he's like, oh, I didn't get enough thumbs up, and seeing that as a sad thing, like maybe I'm doing something wrong, kind of deal. So I'm curious as to what Guar here has to say about this because I do want to hear what every Swami, Guru, or people that I watch what they say about it. So let's go and get started.
My name is Aryan Aurora. I'm an actor and singer from New York, and I wanted to ask a question in regards to social media and inner peace. Now, in this day and age of social media, there's always negative and positive sides of it, right? And we're all trying to find that inner peace within ourselves, but social media has become a medium to spread spirituality throughout the world, to spread this wisdom to everybody, especially the youth. But at the same time, social media tends to give a ride to your ego at times. And even in the process of creating content and hopefully creating content with a positive mindset, with a purpose, sometimes you get into that mindset of likes, what other people are going to think. And during that process, sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe if I do this, that will be better and more perceived and accepted by other people. And I wanted to get your understanding and take on this. How do you believe we can tackle this new day and age of technology? How can we tackle social media, use it to our benefit and the benefit for everybody in this world so we can all obtain inner peace?
Real quick, he is not wrong about using that to. Hold on, let me see if I can get to that. Um, Social media tends to give the right, even in the process of creating content with a purpose. Sometimes you get that in the mindset of likes. Oh, and maybe if I do this, that would be better. That is not wrong. That is absolutely right too. And that can be a beneficial thing, especially if you run a business. Let's see. So, for example, imagine you running a business. You're like, oh my gosh. Imagine if social media doesn't exist. You're like, oh my gosh, or some businesses have a comment box too. That's the same thing, roughly the same thing as social media, to some degree. And I'll explain a little bit. So you're like, there's not a lot of people coming to my business. I wonder why. I'm not getting any feedback. People on the internet tend to be a little bit more verbal about their opinions. So, and okay, and with social media now, you can look at the reviews and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was doing this wrong, or people don't like this, or they don't like the flavor. So this criticism on social media can help. Like, okay, you can now take that input that you get from people and make changes to make your business better. So it has a positive side to it. And this is something I learned from, which is honestly surprising to me. It was who's that English chef? Gosh, Gordon Ramsay. he I was watching one of his kitchen nightmares video, and he was talking about the negative reviews on website. And the guy was like, "Oh, but the people that come here, they say they like the food." And it's like, yeah, they say they like the food and they never come back. And he's like, "Oh, what? Those people don't know what they're talking about online." It's like, no, they write a comment because they care. I never thought about that. Now, mind you, you can say negative, not negative things, but you can make constructive criticism. That's what it is. Essentially, you can say what you don't like, and say that you wish that maybe it's too salty, or maybe too sweet, or the place is dirty, or it took too long. All these things are criticism, healthy criticism to our business, because you're like, oh man, we're taking so long serving people. What's going on? Let me find out why it takes so long from the order to the back of house and then back to the front. Why is it taking so long? How long is it taking? Is it reasonable? Are they expecting this in 5 minutes, or is it taking 30 minutes to make the food? You know. And then, what is it, like too salty? It's like, oh, too salty. Let's check out. Then you get the idea. So this negative thing, a lot of people can see criticism as negative, but they can look at it as something beneficial for their business and beneficial for even to the individual people. I get criticism on this channel too. People telling me I need to go in engineering all this stuff. I'm like, yes, absolutely. When I have time, it's the problem. And I know the thing is that I know the comeback for that would be like, well, you want to find an inner peace now or later? I am honestly fine in my life. I have this contentment with me, and something I discovered on my own, not completely, but it's good enough. And this is something that I want to teach as well, kind of. Not teach per se, but just give my ideas on how I handle things, and maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that brilliant question. How do we really use social media as a great medium to spread inner peace and not allow social media to ruin our inner peace when we look at what other people are doing and lose our authenticity as well? I've always believed in a few things. Number one is our relationship with anyone or anything in the world is only effective as is our relationship with our own self. The more we work on our relationship with our own self and our relationship with divinity, what's happening in the world doesn't bother us as much as it would have otherwise. If we find ourselves disturbed, we find ourselves in the mode of comparison, if we find ourselves in the mode of dirty competition, if we find ourselves in the mode of what we would call the rat race, then it also means that there is somewhere we are lacking a deeper connection with our own self. Which is precisely why people who are out, just like a massive tree, a huge tree, the way it grows above the ground, that's how much the roots have to go deep within. If the roots are not deep, if the roots are not strong, a storm, you wouldn't even need a storm in fact. A small gush of wind can bring the tree down if the roots are weak. So the more we grow externally,
that is a good one right there. I love that one. And as a matter of fact, he is right about how, oh God, what did he say? About how we look externally for a lot of things when realize we need to look internally. Of course, that's pretty obvious. But I really, really love that tree analogy. That was really good.
That's how much we have to do internal work. And if we find that internal work is lacking, the external tree is going to be a threat. So number one, I feel it's critical and very crucial and important that we have a spiritual practice, a sadhana, on a daily basis where we make connection with our own self and we make connection with divinity. Because when that relationship is in place, then the external elements cannot threaten us as much as they would have otherwise. Right? Number two is, when we are talking about social media today is one of the most powerful mediums to communicate, express, and spread what we need to spread. We can spread negativity, we can spread gossip, we can spread hatred, we can spread love, we can spread divinity, we can spread peace, we can spread spirituality. It's a powerful tool. The issue is when instead of using it as a tool, we become a tool. And that's why living in awareness is very important. Moderation is very important. Discipline is very important. If we don't have these, we're going to be consumed by the wave. If we don't want to be consumed by the wave, discipline, moderation, intent behind the content is also very critical. People are just producing so much content, but where's the intent? If the intent is missing, we're going to be carried away by the wave. So discipline, moderation, intent behind the content are also very critical to stay in proper alignment so that we don't get carried away. And comparison has its own value. When we look at what others are doing, we can seek inspiration to follow our aspiration. The problem is we don't seek inspiration. We look at others and we either try to copy, we try to feel superiority complex that we are better than them, or we feel inferiority complex that we are probably lacking something. Maybe if we do this, we will also be like them. Right? But comparison has tremendous value. Today we have so many spiritual leaders here. Each one of them in their own way have something incredible to offer. If we are looking at it that way, we're going to say, wow, I've learned so much from each one of them, and I feel enriched and nourished. Inspiration to follow my own aspiration.
This is exactly what I talk about. It's really weird in during roughly the earlier years of me reacting to Eastern philosophy, Eastern way of life. I get some people saying, "Oh, listen to Sadhguru," or "Oh, don't listen to Sadhguru," or "Listen to Acharya," or "Don't listen to Acharya," or "Don't listen to that and this." I'm like, I don't get that. It's like if you want to achieve enlightenment or a moksha or anything like that, why restrict yourself? It's like if was it is it I forget how many rishis were there. I think there were like 7, I believe. The only reason I could hopefully remember that was because it's roughly the same number in the continents. But anyways, if each of those rishis wrote a book, why would you say, "Oh no, just listen to number 6 or just listen to number 2. Don't listen to number 5." You know, it's like, why don't you read them all? You don't know which one's going to work for you. Maybe chapter 1 from number 1 is going to work, and chapter 6 from number 2 is going to work for you. It's not like any of them are wrong. But again, there are certain not philosophies, but morals. I suppose some people are taken into and they believe into it. I just hope that the people who say don't listen to this and don't listen to that do the research as to why they don't want they don't want other people to follow. So I'll use this as an example. Let's just give Sadhguru that example. People say, "Oh, don't follow Sadhguru. You know, he's done this and this and this." You know, I hope that the person making that statement has legitimately done the research on that and says, "You know what? He's done these wrongs, and I cannot follow that." And my research didn't go to just one biased website or just one way leaning biased websites. I looked at 500 websites, but they're all in the one leaning area. I didn't bother looking at the other websites that are the all other leaning areas because I don't believe in their stuff, or the central area because it's all central, central leaning, I guess. But yeah, I hope people, whenever, because this is something I see in America when they talk about Trump. There's a lot of saying, and when I see these interviews of people going on the floor, the populace, I guess you could say, out in public. They ask him, it's like, what did he say? What did he do? It's like, oh, I've heard him say this. I've heard him say that. It's like, okay, can you give me the exact quote? Can you point out where he said this? None of them could say it. It's just that they hear people saying these things, and a lot of things are out of context. Then they just believe in it. It's terrible. Anyways.
So I can look at so many content creators on social media, seek inspiration from their qualities, seek inspiration from their ideas, seek inspiration from their fundamentals, then to work on my own journey and what I'm myself doing. And usually I say this just to end my answer. I like to say that, back in the day when people would fast, there would be religious and spiritual fasts. The driver who brought me here has been fasting now, ending for Easter and Good Friday. He said he's holding a 40 days fast, 1 meal a day. In the modern day and age today, when we are looking at a spiritual fast, I think a spiritual fast should be a fast from social media, a fast from smartphones, a fast from Google. And if we do all of that, probably God will come down and say, "It's okay, my son, man. Please take it easy. I'm feeling heartbroken seeing your determination." So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Gurgopal Das ji. Thank you.
Oh, he said his name. Hold on.
So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Gurgopal Das ji.
Gorgopal Dashi. Gorgopal. Guar. I've been saying that wrong. Gorgopal Das. Guar.
Your determination. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Gurgopal Das ji. Thank you.
Gorgopal Dash. Gorgopal Dash. Gopal Dash. Well, maybe. Obviously, I don't speak a lot of the Indian languages, so my accent and how words are pronounced are going to be slightly off. I'm trying to, and I appreciate everyone's been honestly supportive, saying I've been saying it right. I know I haven't, but I appreciate the positivity there. So nice. Not as blinding lights in my eyes, but yes, I like the again the analogy with the tree, but the problem is, I guess, it's much like is it something that Sadhguru said? No, it's something that I said. I'm trying to think if any of the Swamis or Acharya has said anything like this. I don't think they have. I think a lot of people in the Western world just want immediate resolution to whatever it is they're trying to find. If they want pleasure, okay, there we go. If they want pleasure, they can go to social media, they can other pleasure things, but there's a sense of pleasure with social media. That's the reason why it's very addicting. And they want that immediately. They want that hit every single time. So that's why you see people like the TikToks, like how they're very short. So you get that hit, new thing, hit, new thing, hit. It's always a new thing. You never stay with one thing for very long because that initial hit is very high. And then after a while, that dopamine hit, now you're like, well, I'm bored with this. Let me get another hit, something new. And it's kind of crazy. So not only are we we're so dependent on social media, but the sheer fact that it's teaching us not to have anything long term in a lot of sense. You must have that immediate hit. And that's the same thing with in drugs in here. If you're sad or depressed, there's a drug for that. It's instant. There's no work required. You don't have to put any effort into it. You just done. There's going to be a drug for everything, and that's kind of the problem in the Western world. There is use for these drugs, absolutely, but the problem is that people are not willing to put in the work for it a lot of the times. Now, there are people out there who use these drugs as an emergency, but they realize that they need to get off of it and that they need to make changes in their lives. So there is a reason for these drugs, and they are helpful for the people. But the people who use these as just, well, I don't have to do anything now because I have these pills. I can keep doing what I'm doing and just pop these pills, and my problem is solved. And I think that's what's the problem. It's just a lot of immediate pleasures, a lot of immediate resolutions. Taking any kind of Eastern philosophy, it's not immediate. It takes time. It requires effort, and it's too hard. That last part is more along the lines because it takes time and too much effort. It's too hard, and then people are not willing to. So hopefully that changes, though. Anyways, that's my reaction to watch this and know how to use social media rightly. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I will
Thank you.
see you in the next vid.